Land a Loam Speaker, 1 and a green for a 1/3 elf druid. Oh, there I am. And it has 2 abilities. Tap, add 1 mana of any color. It's very useful to ramp. It also has tap, target land you control becomes a 3/3 elemental creature with haste until end of turn. It's still a land. Activate only as a sorcery. So, I doubt there's going to be, well, I mean, there could be a green Stompy that's pretty aggro that this card fits into nicely and you start attacking with lands. But more likely this is going to be a mana ramp type card that you play on turn 2, and turn 3 you have 4 mana to work with, so this is good. I think this is pretty good. Probably a B. I'd say it's a B. It's something any green deck would want. Any green plus another color deck would want it too. Mana ramp is always good. Urborg Lurgoyf. 1 in green for a star, 1+star Lurgoyf creature with a kicker, a multi-kicker of blue and or black. It says as it enters the battlefield, mill 3 cards for each time it was kicked. And its power is equal to the number of creature cards in your graveyard. Toughness is equal to the same +1. So, typical Goyf creature. Number of creature cards in the graveyard. If you cast this with nothing in your graveyard, you have to pay 4, kick it twice. There's 6 cards in your graveyard. Let's say 16 out of 40 is your creature count. What does that mean? At least 1/3 of those. So 2 creatures, let's say 2 creatures are in your graveyard after kicking it twice. This is a 2/3. For 4 mana. 2/3 for 4 mana. So the later you play this in the game, the bigger it's gonna land on the board. So this definitely scales with the length the game goes on. I think that's very good. I think it's very good. You can't play this without kicking it if there's nothing in your graveyard. Oh, you can. It would just be a 0/1. Alright. So it's more of a mid to late game creature. I still think it's really good. I don't think it's going to get out of hand in terms of its power toughness. Unless it's like the last creature you play before you win. Which is cool too. It doesn't have haste or anything though. It's hard to rate, but I think it's probably a B. Maybe better. Mossbeard Ancient. 5 green. Man, there's some expensive green spells. 5 green for a 7/7. Okay. There's a new champion in the set. The biggest creature. 7 mana for a 7/7 tree folk creature with trample. When it enters the battlefield, you gain 5 life. That's definitely going to be playable, and you're always going to want to play this. If the last set is any indication, I've learned that the fatties matter the most. And as long as you can get them down before you die, then you're in good shape. So, assuming you have some kind of ramp to get up and play this on turn 5 or 6, and you're not dead already, I think this is going to win the game for you. It's got trample, you gain some life, keeps you alive a bit longer, and as long as it stayed on the board, you're swinging for damage and your opponent can't really do much against it. So this is great. I think it's a B. Maybe B-. And it really depends on how the set plays out. Like, maybe the fatties aren't as important in this set because of all the synergies elsewhere. Like all the +1/+1 for a certain creature type and stuff like that. Maybe that's more important in this set. But, assuming the fatties still matter, I think this is a B or a B-. And I think that's how it's gonna shake out. Next up, Saga with read ahead. It's 2 and a green. First chapter reads, search your library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. Second chapter, create a 1/1 green sapperling creature token. Third chapter, Domain. Target creature you control gets +X/+X and gains trample until the end of turn, where X is the number of basic land types you control. So, assuming you only have green, you play this on turn 3, you search for second color, you put it down, get a sapling the next turn. It's a 3/3 for the final chapter's turn. And it's 3 mana. You end up with a 3/3. It's only until the end of turn, so it's only a 3/3 for that one turn. You do get to tutor a land, basic land, and you end up with a 1/1 sapling token. It's decent. I think it's probably a B-, C+, something like that. It's definitely worth playing, I think. Maybe not B-. Let's stick with C+. For a domain archetype, it's definitely going to be needed. Find that extra land type. Next one is Tail Swipe for a green. It's an instant. Choose target creature you control and target creature you don't control. If you cast a spell during your main phase, the creature you control gets +1/+1 until end of turn. Then they fight each other. This is a nice, efficient removal for green. I think it's B-. Maybe B. Maybe even B. Maybe it's premium. Maybe it's the best removal for green. In that case, it would be a B. Linebreaker Bailoff is next. 3 green for a 4/5 beast creature with Enlist. This creature can't be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less. So 4/5 with Enlist, no trample. 4/5 for 5 with Enlist. Can't be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less. So you can't chump block it. It can't be blocked by walls, so this gets through the defender archetype. Yeah, this could be good. I think it could get big enough, and it's got enough toughness to survive after enlisting. Hard to rate, but I'd say C+, B-. Still low on Enlist until I see how it plays. That looks pretty good. Tear Asunder. 1 and a green for an instant with a kicker, 1 and a black. Exile target artifact or enchantment. If the spell was kicked, exile target non-land permanent instead. So for 4 mana, you exile any non-land permanents. For 2 mana, it's only artifact or enchantment. It's flexible enough removal that it'll be highly prized in a Golgari deck, a Golgari draft or something like that. Otherwise, it's definitely just a sideboard. 1 and a green, destroy artifact or enchantment. You're not always going to want to play this. If you're black and green, you probably are always going to want to play this. So, as far as removal goes, I'd say it's C-. Maybe even D+. Unless you're Golgari, in which case it's a C. Elvish Hydromancer, 2 and a green for a 3/2 elf wizard with a kicker, 3 and a blue. When it enters the battlefield, if it was kicked, create a token that's a copy of target creature you control. Okay. It remains a legendary token, so you can't copy a legendary creature. That's still a great ability. It does cost 7 mana. Use 7 mana to copy best creature on your side of the battlefield and leave a 3/2 body behind. Is that good? I think that could be very good if you have some nice fatties to copy. Uh, 3 mana for a 3/2 otherwise. That's pretty meh. This is kind of interesting. It's a Simic. It's an expensive Simic. Duplicate a creature spell. This is probably just a C-. Even in Simic. It's gonna be hard to cast. And you don't want to cast this just as a 3/2 unless you need to. Yeah. C-. Slimefoot Survey. 4 in the green for sorcery with domain. Search your library for up to 2 land cards that each have a basic land type. Put them onto the battlefield tapped and shuffle. So you increase your domain by 2 basically when you play this for 5 mana. So let's say you started with 2 domain, now you're at 4. Look at the top X cards of your library, where X is the number of basic land types, i.e. the domain that you control. So look at the top 4 cards of your library. Put up to 1 of them on top of your library and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. This is crappy. It's crappy. Even if you have a domain of 5, you look at the top 5 cards and you put the best one on top and the rest on the bottom. You still have to wait till your next turn. You just spent 5 mana for nothing. You can't do anything this turn. All you did was reorganize your library a tiny bit. This is terrible. This is an F, I think. Jason disagrees. I don't know, man. Am I completely off base on this? Maybe. But this doesn't look playable to me at all. 5 mana. Do nothing this turn. I don't know. It's a really late game card otherwise. It seems like a wasted non-creature spell slot to me. Strength of Coalition is next. For a green, it's an instant with a kicker, 2 and a white. Target creature you control gets +2/+2 until end of turn. If it was kicked, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. So for 4 mana, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control, and target creature you control gets an extra +2/+2 until end of turn. That seems like a good deal. Otherwise, it's just a combat trick. And this is still a combat trick that pops your entire board. This seems really good. It seems very good. It seems, you know, like a C playable combat trick without the kicker. C, yeah, C, C-, C. I would play this sometimes in a green deck if you're green and white, or you have a way of, you know, splashing a white land, or, you know, have mana sources that allow you to play, to use any color. This would be great. 4 mana for that ability is really good, I think. I think this is a C just for the green ability. If you can utilize the kicker, it's a B-, or a B even. Maybe it's a B. I think that's a really good trick. Alright, next up is Yavimaya Iconoclast. 1 in a green for a 3/2 elf creature with a red kicker. It has trample, and when it enters the battlefield, if it was kicked, it gets +1/+1 and gains haste until end of turn. So 2 mana 3/2 with trample. It's not bad. 3 mana 3/2 with trample. Oh, 3 mana 4/3 with trample and haste. 3 mana 4/3 trample haste. That's definitely worth it. It's a good card. I'd say it's a C+. Yes. Done. Territorial Maro, 4 and a green for a star elemental creature. It has domain, and its power and toughness are each equal to twice the domain. So you got a domain of 2, it's a 4/4 for 5. You got a domain of 3, it's a 6/6 for 5. And that's it. It's just a vanilla star. Power equal to the domain. Max 10/10. No trample or anything, so it can be chump blocked. I think it's okay. I think it's decent. If you're a domain archetype, then it's good. I don't think it's a bomb. I think at best, it's a B- C+. At worst, it's C. No, at worst, it's C-. If you only have a way of getting two domain, then it's just a 4/4 for 5, which is not that good. But it could be big. So C+, I'll give it. Barkweed Crusher, 3 and a green for a 2/5 elemental warrior. It has enlist, and that's it. So the higher toughness enlist creatures, I feel like, are gonna perform better. And this one has very high toughness. It's 2/3, 2/5 for 4 mana. It's an enlisted 2 power creature. It's a 4/5 for 4. That's a C, I think. Now that I think about it, this is not such a great card. I just don't buy enlist. I mean, even if you enlisted a 5/1 creature and made this a 7/5, it's attacking. It doesn't have trample. It gets chump blocked. You took that 5/1 out of your opponent's turn, so it can't defend, it can't block and trade. I don't like enlist. I don't think it's very good. This is a C-, maybe even D+. Yeah. Broken Wings, 2 and a green for an instant. Destroy target artifact, enchantment, or creature with flying. Artifact, enchantment, or flying creature. I think this is playable. I think it's a C-. I think it's going to be just fine to play in most green decks if you need some fringe removal. I think there's going to be plenty of enchantments that can be removed. Flyers, I'm not sure, but C- removal. Deathbloom Gardener, 2 and a green for a 1/1 elf druid creature with death touch. Has the ability tap, add 1 mana of any color. So 3 mana 1/1 with death touch. With a mana ability. 3 mana for a 1/1 is not great. And yeah, I don't really like this. Yeah, it ramps. Yeah, it's a death touch defender, but you can't do both. You can either block once and trade, or you can not block and use it as a mana ramp spell. I don't know. Those two abilities are in conflict with each other, considering it's a 1/1. I think it's just a C-, maybe D+. I don't like it. Too expensive. Elfhame Worm, 4 and a green for a 5/4 worm creature with vigilance and trample. Done. 5 mana for 5/4 Vigilance, Trample. It's decent. I'd say that's a C. Not bad. Floriferous Vine Wall, 1 in green for a 0/2 plant wall creature with Defender. When it enters the battlefield, look at the top 6 cards of your library. You may reveal a land card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest into the bottom of your library in a random order. Okay. It's not bad. It's like that doctor that finds you a land. It's only 2 mana though. It's a dinky little defender. I think it'll just keep you alive a little bit longer before you can cast your caddies, and that's it. And it helps ensure that you don't miss a land drop. So, in that sense, it's not terrible. I think it's just a C. I think if you got a lot of fatties, you're going to want to play this to ensure you get to, 5 or 6 mana. Vine Wall gets a C. Hexbane Tortoise, 2 and a green for a 3/2 turtle creature with Ward 2 and Enlist. That's it. 3/2 Enlist. Nah, I don't like it. I think this is a D+. Even when it has Ward 2, it's just going to trade off something. No thanks. Llanowar Stalker. Green for a 1/1 elf warrior creature. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, it gets +1/+0 until end of turn. It's an elf, so if you get something to buff elves, then you're going to want to play a few of these. It's common, so you're going to be able to get a few. Otherwise, it's just a D+. Yeah, it's just a 1-drop, 1/1. It'll swing for 2 on turn 2, and then it'll trade for... might not even trade, it might just be a chump blocker after that. So, you'll get in 2 damage if you're on the play. Otherwise, it's just a chump blocker. So, D+. It's a waste of a creature slot, in my opinion. Bite Down. 1 and green for an instant. Target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to target creature or planeswalker you don't control. So that's an excellent removal for green. It's a bite. Bite Down. 2 mana. Target creature deals damage to another target creature. It's a B. It's a B removal. Especially in green, that has the biggest creatures. Yavimaya Sojourner. 7 and a green for 4/6 triple creature. It has domain and it costs 1 less to cast for each domain. So it's 6 mana at least for a 4/6. You get 4. It's 4 mana for a 4/6. Meh. You're in domain, sure. It's, the middle ground for your creatures. So build around C, I would say. Otherwise, it's D+. Sunbathing Rootwalla, 1 in a green for a 2/2 lizard with domain, with a domain ability, 3 in a green. Until end of turn, it gets +1/+1 for each domain. Activate only once each turn. So +2/+2 to start with for 4 mana. Makes it a 4/4, 6 kind of. Could be a 5/5, could be a 6/6, could be a 7/7 if you're domain archetype. 7/7 doesn't have any other abilities though, so no trample. But still, you can activate it on either your or your opponent's turn. So it's a threat if you have the mana up. It's fine. I think this is a C. I think it's a decent card. It's above curve, I think. Bog Badger, 2 and a green for a 3/3 badger creature with a black kicker. When Bog Badger enters the battlefield, if it was kicked, creatures you control gain menace until end of turn. 4 mana, 3/3, gives your entire board menace for a turn. That's good. I think that's pretty good. It's definitely a threat later in the game when you go wide. This could be, this is like a win condition actually. You know, take some setup, but it's not bad. I think this is a C+. I like the Bog Badger. Colossal Growth, 1 in green for an instant with a red kicker. Target creature gets +3/+3 until end of turn if the spell was kicked. Instead, that creature gets +4/+4 and gains trample and haste until end of turn. +4/+4 trample haste for 3 mana. That seems really good to me. Cast the Badger for 4 mana. You have 8 mana to play. Throw this on the Badger. Wait, does the Badger give haste? Menace. No, it doesn't have haste. But you could give it haste and +4/+4, so it's a 7/7 menace. It's a 7/7 menace. Trample. Haste. I think this is really good. I think this is like a B in a green-red deck. A green-red draft. Otherwise it's +3/+3. Otherwise it's a C. Combat trick. Just +3/+3 for 2. Maybe C-. But the kicker is awesome. It only adds +1/+1 of power, but the trample and haste is huge. That's a huge swing. Okay. Colossal Growth. Build B in the right archetype, otherwise C-. Okay, Gaia's Might. Green for an instant with domain. Target creature gets +1/+1 until end of turn for each domain. So +2/+2 for 1. Baseline. It's not bad. +3/+3 for 1. Seems like, you know, could be likely. It's 5/5 for 1. Best case scenario. Doesn't give trample or anything. Okay, I think it's a C. Combat trick. Okay. So yeah, that's the Gaia gets a C. Next up, Scout the Wilderness, 2 and a green for a sorcery with a 1 white kicker. With a 1 and a white kicker. Search your library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield tapped, and shuffle for 3 mana. If it was kicked, so total 5 mana, create 2 1/1 White Soldier creature tokens. So 5 mana, you get to ramp. It enters the battlefield tapped. And you create 2 1/1 tokens at sorcery speed. This doesn't seem very good to me. If you desperately need the mana ramp, then go for it. Otherwise, it's a D+. Not a big fan of that one. Snare Spinner, 1 and a green. For a 1/3 spider with reach. When it blocks a creature with flying, it gets +2/+0 until end of turn. So it's 3/3 when blocking a flying creature. For 2 mana. That's not bad. That's playable. Especially in green where your bread and butter are the fatties. So this is just a good early defense at 1-3 for 2 to give you time to get up to the mana you need. It even defends the skies. I think this is good. I think this is a C+. I like it. Magnagoth Sentry, 3 and a green for a 4/4 tree folk creature with reach. 4 mana, 4/4 reach. That's decent too. C for Sentry. Playable. Vine Shaper Prodigy, 1 and a green for a 2/2 elf druid creature with a 1 blue kicker. When it enters the battlefield, if it was kicked, look at the top 3 cards of your library. Put one of them into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. So for 4 mana, it's a 2/2, and it replaces itself with the best card of the top 3 in your library. This is great. This is really good. Otherwise, it's just a bear. But in Simic, it's great. I think that's really good. C plus if Simic. C plus if Simic. If not Simic, it's a D. Just a D. And that's it for green.